Okay, we're going to start with the nation. Buni douses tension, rallies APC governors for convention. FG determined to deepen local content. Atiku picks PDP form, Tambuwal digs in. INEC gets 9 orders, motions on Umahi's sack. EFCC arrests ex-governor Obiano at Lagos Airport. Ladoja pays respect to Olubadan at Palace. Kingsley Moghalu joins presidential race again. And Nigeria raises $1.25 billion through Eurobonds. Okay, which stories are we starting with?
The federal government has said that it's determined to deepen local content and reduce importation of products, especially the sort of products that Nigerians can produce locally. So this was said by the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, Simbi KCA Wabute, and he was speaking on behalf of the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, at the groundbreaking of Eraxin 64,000 liters day lubricant and chemical blending plant and product launch at Bahrain, Yanagua, Bayelsa State capital. So according to what he said that Nigeria currently consumes about 250 million liters of various engine oil brands per annum. And the consumption is growing at more than 5% every year due to the addition of new vehicles and machineries that we have. And so this Eraxin, it's being established in line with the plans of the federal government to support local companies to produce some of this engine oil and gas in that industry. And they are projecting that this particular Eraxin will provide jobs for over 200 persons and 800 others indirectly. Okay, so congratulations to them.
Okay. Yes, INEC has said they've received about 9 court orders that has been, served to them from various courts by various parties, and that just as INEC prepared to deliberate on it yesterday, they got notice of another court action, served another court process that is about to start yesterday, but they are looking at deliberating on all the court orders received to help them decide the fate of the Boyin State governor who defected from the PDP to the APC, and hence several court actions started. So eventually, we'll go nowhere down there.
Okay, so the chairman of the caretaker committee of the APC arrived from Dubai after his medical trip. Remember, he also went to the UK to talk to the governors, to the president at the time, alongside other governors. Anyway, he's back now, and he said that what his substantive representative at the time, all the things he had done, that I think was Governor Abubakar Sani Bello, everything he did in his absence is valid, and that he would continue with that. And also, what was even interesting was that he had a meeting with 5 governors of APC trying to see how they can douse the tension. Obviously, he has won the leadership tussle that he had in the last few weeks, and he's trying to douse the tension. And there was no confidence vote in Akpanudu Edehe. I always struggle with that name. Anyways, I'm happy that things have calmed down, but just hope that the March 26th convention date still holds. So we'll wait and see what happens on that day. I guess from that day onwards, we'll begin to know what the APC presidential tickets, because he becomes to influence whoever becomes the APC presidential candidate.
Governor Soludo yesterday was inaugurated as the governor of Anambra State.
Okay, please let me talk with.
So please let me read the Ladoja. So the Olubadan situation, yes. Recently the Olubadan was crowned, and the former governor, who is the OC Olubadan of Ibadan land, High Chief Rashidi Ladoja, visited the Olubadan, and he was doing this. He spent about 30 minutes with the Olubadan. He did not give any statements to the press, but sources close to him said that any rift people are saying exists between both of them is a figment of imagination, and that he has gone to pay respect, homage to the leader, to the traditional ruler of his land. And I'm happy that I'm really happy with the peaceful transition of the Olubadan stool, and I pray that all other Yoruba traditional rulers generally just follow that peaceful. You might not like it, but if it's the person, let it go. So that's a good news.
Okay. I know we'll take Soludo elsewhere because I need to talk about the papers. Let's move on quickly now to The Punch. Nigeria borrowed 6.64 trillion naira, serviced debt with 2.93 trillion in 2021, says DMO. PDP handling face-off with Wike and peace achieved, says Obaseki. Suspected female ritualist arrested in Kwara. Cash recovered, male visitor flees. Church founder wanted by FBI for wire fraud, arrested in Enugu. Northern businessman buy 40 million naira PDP presidential form for Atiku. EFCC picks up US-bound ex-governor Obiano at Lagos Airport. PRC test for travelers fraudulent, probe NCDC, says Ministry and WHO Envoy. Telco's mall tariff increase as diesel price skyrockets. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Major headline.
Director
General of the Debt Management Office has said that our debt stock increased from 32 point something in 22.9 trillion naira in 2020 to 39.56 trillion naira in 2021. And she says that this figure represents an entire, our total external and domestic debt of the federal government, the 36 state governments, and the Federal Capital Territory put together. And that this was used to, for our budget, to finance our budget deficits, our capital projects, and support our economic recovery plan. This has, of course, gotten us to borrow. We borrowed 6.64 trillion, and we've serviced the debt of 6.64 trillion with 2.93 trillion in 2021 alone. And we're still looking at the Eurobond to borrow again, but this time around we're borrowing to pay subsidy. So based on that and several other factors, the economists around are advising federal government, warning them to look into repayment plan. That, it's okay for capital to borrow for capital projects, but to borrow for too many recurrence like that is not sustainable. They're asking government to look into their repayment plan and advise accordingly, including myself.
Yes. So I'm not, there was a story of a suspected female ritualist. I'm not really sure what qualifies her as a female ritualist. When I read the story, what happened was that the police had observed that a man with a sports utility vehicle was having a conversation with this woman. And this woman, the woman looked like she was mentally unstable. And then they approached, the moment the police tried to approach them, the man fled. And when they found the lady had in possession about 166,000 naira with her. Children's uniforms, books were recovered, and other things were from the woman. And when they asked her what happened, she said that the man was trying to have sex with her. And, but they're not sure exactly what transpired. So, but somehow she was then labeled as...
Why the label, though?
I don't understand she was mentally unstable, but they're assuming that the man was a ritualist, that he was trying to maybe use her for money rituals.
The journalist that reported it in Kowan, the editors, what's the basis for that label?
Yeah, I'm trying to make major headline. I want to take the PCR story. So this story trended, I joined the tweet war that the PCR test for travelers is fraudulent, because suddenly a lot of countries have dropped nose mask wearing. Many countries have said if you are vaccinated, you can freely move. But all these countries in the world, they are still holding on to the economic part of you must do the test because there's an industry around it. Now, particularly in Nigeria, the WHO Envoy, his name is Ayoade Alakija. He said that the PCR inbound passengers have to do PCR tests in Nigeria, and it is not done with reagents. Then he mentioned this because a Twitter person, someone on Twitter said that most of our PCR tests are done by companies who government officials have interest in. So it's an entire, that according to him, he should be investigated. There's a scam involved in our process of PCR tests. We don't do PCR tests. Many people that are coming in, they just pay. It doesn't get done. There's no follow through. So I think it really needs to be investigated. He's calling out the NCDC boss to look into it. Yeah.
So are you saying now if we're traveling, we have to still do that test?
We're still going to do all the 3 tests.
Oh, wow.
Okay, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. BC had a story?
Yes, so operatives of the Enugu Zonal Command of the EFCC have arrested a suspect on the wanted list of the FBI, Kelechi Anozie. He's said to be the founder of Praying City Church in Owerri, Imo State. and he was reportedly picked up on March 10th following incredible intelligence, which linked him to alleged conspiracy, wire fraud, and money laundering. They also picked up about 4 suspects, Valentine Iro, Ekene Ekechukwu, alias Ogedi Power, Bright Azubike Bawa, Ifeanyi Jr., and they had been alleged to have defrauded one FF who lives in Illinois, United States, of the sum of $135,800 and another of $47,000. So the case has been taken to court.
And this is different with the other guy that would be called the recent pastor.
Yes. So all the pastors.
What was the telco story in Punch? I thought.
Oh, yes.
So we'll come back to that. Daily Sun quickly. APC convention, we took that already. EFCC arrests Obiano at Lagos Airport. Nigeria's debt rise to 40 trillion naira, says DMO. 2023, Catholic bishop urges Christians to obtain PVCs. Russia-Ukraine war, FG to issue new policy on trade. I won't resign before handover date, says Malami. Task force kills 100 gunmen in Niger, recovers 50 motorcycles. Soludo takes oath, tells IPOB we can't turn against ourselves. 2023, Northeast Group procures nomination forms for Atiku. Nima, you have the Soludo story.
Okay, I just wanted to take his speech at the inauguration yesterday, following what happened. He said, let me quote him, I always emphasize these points because it's rare these days to find people who keep their words in politics, and we will never take your support for granted. You are indeed a great leader. Thanks for believing in me. We will work hard to make you and Anambra proud. Anambra. To our indefatigable national chairman, he thanked the chairman, Victor Ikeoye. Your visit on 27th of August 2016, unwavering support remains historical. And he said it was time to work. And adding, he said, no minute or kobo to waste in fanfare. And you would see that from the inauguration, it was a simple affair.
There's something else he said in that speech that caught my attention. I also like to highlight here. He said that the IPOB, ESN, MASO, we must all work together. Because obviously, now I'm paraphrasing,
he said we
can actually work together and find peace. That he agrees with the comments of the traditional rulers and the bishops and archbishops, saying that peace and conflict resolution is recommended. The dialogue is also recommended at this time. More importantly, he said that the current trajectory is a road to desolation. Let us get around the table and talk. Let the elites in the closet come out and let's debate our future and forge a consensus. The elites' conspiracy of silence and must stop. So, I mean, well, we always hear these good things in the first days, so we just hope. We're rooting for Governor Soludo. I'm hoping for the best.
Giving him 100 days to see what
we'll see. 100 days. I'm waiting for his 1-year speech. I want to see the number of achievements.
He's had 100 days first now.
If peace,
but in terms of the ability to change the orientation,
the mindset of the people.
So if peace is something that he's able to do, restore peace to the alone in 1 year.
That's something. He has done a good job.
Let me take the telco story. I know we've moved on, but the telcos are complaining under the aegis of the Association of Licensed Telecom Operators of Nigeria. They have about 20,000 base stations across the country, and each of those base stations have 2 industrial generators. Diesel is a constant. They say that they are one of the highest consumers of diesel, and the hike in price has really affected their business. One thing they can assure Nigerians is there will be no power outage, but the likelihood of increase in tariffs is very, very, very high, saying that the cost of haulage to different parts of the country is biting into the profit of their business.
All right, so I'm taking this. We want to take another story?
Yes. So the Catholic Bishop of Warri Diocese in Delta State, John Afareha, spoke during a press conference at Efuru as part of the activities of his 75 years birthday celebration and 25 years anniversary as a bishop. And he was saying that Nigerians need to get their PVCs as the only weapon to enthrone God-fearing leaders in 2023. And those leaders will be able to hack in to the voice of God and the voice of the people, but we need to get it right. That the 2023 general election is going to be very important for the country, and Nigerians need to pray to God for peace, free and fair election. Then he went ahead to say that he's not relenting in his teaching to stop crime, his moral teachings, and most Catholic schools have, aside from their normal curriculum, they have moral teachings as part of their curriculum, and he went ahead to list all his achievements in the 25 years.
So this Russian-Ukraine war, I think I did that story, I think last week, the fact that the federal government is beginning to work on what they can do to renew a trade policy with the countries under the former USSR, and this is because of the war in Russia. According to the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Mr. Ni Adebayo, he said that the reports they're getting, obviously, is that we earn, let me get the figures for you. In 2019, Nigeria received a total of $84.3 million in capital imports from Russia. The country also imported about 144 billion naira worth of durum wheat in 2020, and 123.9 billion naira worth of durum wheat from Ukraine also. He's saying that even the mackerel, seafood, all this is come from Russia and Ukraine. So obviously we're going to be losing out somewhat because there's been a restriction on importation across these countries for now. So he's saying that the federal government is looking at what they can do to have new trade policies within other countries within that region so that we don't lose out on these importations from Russia and Ukraine. And what he said is he has to present those to the government, to the president first. Once he gets approval, he then briefs them at their weekly ministerial briefing. So we will hear about it once President Buhari approves this recommendation that the minister has. Okay, moving on quickly now to the Vanguard. EFCC arrests ex-governor Obiano after handing over to Soludo. Terrorists kidnapped 46 in Kaduna community. APC crisis, Boni reasserts authority and silence on the Akpanudo Edehe's fate. Emele moves to get more women at bank's top management. Reps urge FCT states to implement the UBEC Child Rights Act. Hold institutions responsible for admission letter, JAM tells students. NLC waits into NURTW Lagos crisis. I won't resign, my tenure has not ended, says Malami. And Nigeria public debt up to 20.2% to 39.56 trillion naira. Which story are we starting with?
JAM. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board is asking students to hold their institutions responsible for the inability to access their administration letters. So some of them are looking for either letter of exemption or letter to go to NYSC. And their admissions, their institutions are not sending these letters out. So JAM is saying that most of these institutions were illegal in the first place. They registered outside CAPS. And they have tried, according to the Minister for Education, Adamu, say he has tried to, inculcate them into this, a part of the legal body. But so far, they are not putting the portal, they are not registering in the portal the data of the students that are required. And they said they went to like 3 different newspaper houses, Blueprint, Guardian, and Vanguard, November 24, 2021, to announce that all these institutions that have been pardoned somewhat can come in and register their students with the appropriate data so that they can have their letters for either NYSC or letter of exemption. But they are not coming forward. So it's not their fault. They should go back to the school and meet those institutions so that they can put up their data on the portal so that they can have their letters.
Okay, another story?
Yes.
You take the child, the Emefiele story.
Has that.
Okay.
Malami was just, sorry, the minister of Justice, Mr. Obaka Malami, yesterday said that, the rumor going around that he resigned so he can run for office is false, and it is just, there's a word he used, big English. But he was addressing the conference, National Association of Judiciary Correspondents yesterday, and he said that you are the ones who should know that most of the times people have peddled false news against public officers because, because of malicious media reports. But it is false, and he will not resign until May 2023 when his tenure ends.
So let me take the women's story. Commemorating International Women's Day, the CBN Governor Emefiele, mentioned that he has sent a statement to the banks, and they disclosed that there will be a new policy that requires minimum of 30% female representation on boards and 40% at the top management level in the banking industry. He said it is similar to the National Financial Inclusion Strategy that recommends increasing female staff of microfinance bank to 30% and total workforce being at 32%, the affirmative action of 32% total workforce. I think that this is a good policy, but the things that make women drop out of top management is the strain of work and family balance. So there are little things we can do. Middle management, lower management level, there should be crutches in banks. It should be those are the things that would encourage women to want to go into the banking sector. When you put those incentives, you will get the best out of women. And so far, we've had very good women top management at top management of banking level. So if we increase more, it's good for us. Okay, we have to wrap up. I think we've run out of time. I was going to take one story that caught my attention, but you gotta go. That's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, move on to our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.